On your birthday, you get up to 3 hours of free talk time and 25 free text messages to call and text all your friends and family on MTN. And that's not all. You also stand a chance of getting birthday cakes and e-vouchers to grab your own birthday gifts at some of your favorite shops and supermarkets. So you know well the birthday fun day. Join the biggest family in Ghana and let's chill on your special day. Kind courtesy MTN. And note that all terms and conditions apply. On Wednesdays, our Drive Doctor, Dr. Yaw Osafo, who is the CEO of Medicas Hospital, joins in to educate us on very pertinent health issues. And today we have a very interesting issue, a very solid issue that we've decided to call him to help us understand and probably find ways of preventing this. Dr. Osafo, Akwaba.
Yeah,
Really good to see you. Really good to see you, man.
Right.
And
It's
today
good
I decided to change your position a little bit.
All right.
I mean, people need to see the model in you, so we decided to make you stand.
Right.
Okay. Now, this conversation is very important, and if you're listening to me on radio, you might want to go onto Facebook and watch our live video because the conversation has a bit of infographics that he would share, and that means that you need to see some of the things that we're talking about. So get onto Facebook page Joy 99.7 FM on Facebook, and you'll see a live video and you'll be able to follow the conversation as Dr. Osafo goes along. Doc, good to have you, and I'm glad you're here today. One of our, but how are you? Let me start off.
Yeah, I'm very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Today we did some work with Dr. Yachi as well at the spine clinic.
At the spine clinic?
Tomorrow's the last clinic.
Tomorrow's the last day?
Yes, and we're having it at Pleasant Medical Center in Ashaman. So,
in Ashaman.
Yes, those who still want to meet up with the team should call us and book an appointment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and I hope you're fine too. You're looking very smart.
Thank you very much. Oh, you know how we do. I'm very well. We had a message from a lady who listens to us,
right?
And
shall we listen?
It was quite tough to understand it because I didn't finish my medical course, but you did. So over to you.
Right.
Lexis Bill. I'm 45 years old and the mother to 2 adopted beautiful girls. Okay? I was never able to conceive, try as I did. The last 12 months have been the worst in terms of my health. I first noticed I'll pant as I reached the end of the flight of stairs in my office complex building. I attributed it to growing old and not exercising regularly. A few weeks later, I noticed my menses would last longer than I usually experience. I also began experiencing constipation, which was something I had never experienced in my life. I've tried many different remedies, but I'm not getting better. Is the Drive Doctor able to help shed more light on my condition? Well, so over to you, Doc.
Right.
What are we looking at here?
Thank you. Just from the little information we have from our listener, I believe she is suffering from a condition we call uterine fibroids. If I want to be more technical, and as I scared Philip earlier on, we will call it leiomyoma uteri.
Yeah, we like that one.
Yeah, you like that one?
Those of us
Okay,
on
all
that
right.
level,
Philip was very scared when I mentioned that leiomyoma uterine fibroids. So, Kwame, fibroids are very, very common in women, and typically women in the reproductive age group. So today I'm going to talk about something that a lot of women are familiar with. And we have this infographic, and we're going to start with a biology class, a biology lesson, a little bit of anatomy, so that we understand what fibroids are, where they are located, why they cause the problems they cause us, and what the management principles are. So fibroids are found only in women.
Okay.
Because it is found in the uterus, the womb.
Okay.
And men don't have, our dear, no womb. Fibroids arise from a single cell found in the muscles of the womb. And Kwame, you can think of the muscles in the womb as the hair cells or your hair. so many hair strands that we have. Imagine if each hair strand can turn into a growth, a disorderly growth. So fibroids are tumors or growths that arise from the muscle cells of the womb, and they are typically benign. When we say they are benign, we simply mean that they won't kill you directly. They won't. As opposed to cancerous, where when the C word is mentioned, then we know that we have challenges. So Kwame, they are benign growths that arise from the muscle cells of the womb. Okay. They are typically associated with the levels of estrogen, which is a predominant female hormone in the body. So estrogens are very well connected to the development of fibroids. And therefore fibroids are seen in women of the reproductive age group, meaning women who have started having their menses and in between their menses, the start of the menses, and then the menopause. So that is what we mean by the reproductive age group. Typically, that's when you find them. Of course, we do find women who've gone beyond the menopause who still have fibroids, uterine fibroids. Based on the location of the fibroids, we classify them into three main types. And Kwame, it is very important that we understand this anatomical location. So if we look at this, the infographic that we have.
Okay, just before you go to the infographic, let me remind you, if you're listening to us on radio, this is live on our Facebook page, and you get to see the infographics on our Facebook live feed, and I'm sure it's on our Joy FM page. So get onto Joy FM page on Facebook and see the live video, so you can also follow the infographics, except your radio has TV. Okay.
Right. So Kwame, typically, as I mentioned, the fibroids will start from the muscle layer, or what we call the wall of the uterus.
Okay.
So that's where we find a lot of the fibroids, the wall of the uterus. So we will call these ones intramural fibroids.
Okay.
They are found within the wall of the fibroid.
Of the uterus.
Sorry, of the uterus rather. So the fibroid found within the wall of the uterus is called an intramural fibroid. And you find this particular one right here buried within the wall of the fibroid, and we would call that an intramural fibroid.
There's a big one over there.
Yes, that's this one, the small one that is right within the wall. The big one on the other side, I'll talk about it later, but the relatively smaller one, which is right in the wall of the fibroid, of the uterus, is called an intramural fibroid within the wall. Then they can grow and extend into the cavity, involve the inner lining of the womb, where if there's going to be a baby, this is where the baby will attach itself and grow. So when the fibroid can extend to involve the inner lining, then we would call that a submucosal fibroid.
Okay.
A submucosal fibroid. So that's the second type. And then sometimes it can grow outside to involve the outside of the uterus. All right, the surface, the outer surface of the uterus. And that's a big one that you were initially referring to. And we will call these ones subserosal fibroids. So this big one here that is involving the outer surface, we will call it the subserosal fibroid. All right. These ones that come to the outside, sometimes it hangs on a stalk. It hangs on a stalk. There is a neck to it, just as you have your head supported by your neck. Sometimes it develops a neck, and if you look at right on top here, on the roof of the structure here, you find a short stalk, and then you find the fibroid. So we will call this a pedunculated fibroid, a fibroid that has a stalk.
Okay.
A fibroid with a stalk on the outside. We will call it a pedunculated fibroid. So, Kwame, these are the three main anatomical locations, the three locations you can find a fibroid. It is important we understand which part of the uterus your fibroid is located, because it has implications in terms of the presentation, the symptoms you would experience, and also what we call the complications. So how do fibroids manifest? How do they come to our attention? What would a woman experience for her to know that, oh, or for her to think, look, I may be developing fibroids, let me go see my doctor? Well, Kwame, look at the size of these things, especially the ones that come to the outside, the serosal fibroids. Well, they are big enough sometimes you actually feel some heaviness in your lower abdomen. Remember, the uterus is in the pelvis. The uterus is in the pelvis, that bone that we feel down there, where people say their waist and put their hands on their waist. It's right in there. So in your lower abdomen, some women will tend to feel some heaviness. The ones up here on the roof of the fibroids, hanging on a stalk, they can grow big and push up, come to the level of the belly button, come all the way up to your upper abdomen.
Wow!
I have seen some right in the pit of the abdomen, or the pit of your stomach, right up here in the upper part of the abdomen, and you will have this mass effect that it sits there and makes you feel heaviness in there. A woman who has very sensitive hands can actually feel them and feel these fibroids. So that's the first thing, heaviness, particularly in the lower abdomen. Some women also experience heavy menstrual cycles, heavy menstrual bleeding. All right? And I believe our listener who sent us the message mentioned that she'd realized that she's bleeding longer than she would usually experience it.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I should ask her, she would agree with, or she would tell me that she's noticed that the bleeding is heavier than she usually experiences, not just longer duration, but then also she also experiences blood clots. She notices clots in the blood. The blood typically flows and it is fluid-like. But when you begin to notice clots in your blood, the menstrual blood, then doctors will interpret that to mean heavy menses, a situation we call menorrhagia, heavy menstrual flow. So those are usually caused by the submucosal fibroids, the fibroids that grow to involve the inner lining of the womb will cause that type of bleeding, menorrhagia.
Okay.
So Kwame, the ones that are outside, going to the outside of the womb, they are causing you to have this mass effect, the heaviness in your lower abdomen. The ones that are on the inner surface of it are causing you to experience heavy menstrual bleeding. Once you are having heavy menstrual bleeding, your blood level begins to drop, your HB. So you go and see your doctor, and then you realize, you do a blood test and you realize that your HB is, say, 10 or 9 or 8. It keeps dropping. Then you begin to have symptoms of anemia. What are the symptoms of anemia? Shortness of breath, fatigue on minimal exertion. So Kwame, what did our friend say? She says when she climbs and she gets to the end of the flight of stairs, she feels out of breath. Usually that doesn't happen, but then now she's realizing that she's out of breath. She had attributed that to getting on with age and also not exercising regularly. But I am sure that the heavy menstrual bleeding she's experiencing, because probably she has fibroids located on the inside, causing her to be anemic. So that is one of the features of anemia. We also have a loss of appetite, and then the individual experience what we call pica, unusual dietary habits, eating non-food things.
Okay.
Chile and ice block and things like that. Those things then become more appealing to such individuals. It may be signs of anemia. But another thing that you may experience with fibroids, based on the location, is also constipation. So this is sitting right there in your pelvis, and all around you have large bowel, the large intestine, which is full of, that's where you form food then turns into fecal matter, right in there. So if you begin to grow this fibroid on the outside and it begins to extend, it will sit and compress on your intestines, your large intestines, and tends to narrow the lumen, and the individual may develop constipation. So if you're a young woman and your dietary habits are good, you have a lot of fiber in your diet, you drink a lot of water, and yet you are experiencing recurrent constipation, then you may want to think about pressure symptoms coming from fibroids that are located on the outside.
Okay.
Another important thing I want to talk about with fibroids in terms of its complication or how it presents is infertility. Actually, that is how a lot of women come to us with infertility. Oh, doctor, I've been married, it's been 3 years, we've been trying and trying, nothing is happening. My husband has done the semen analysis, everything is fine, so we are here, I want to be investigated. And we begin to do the investigation. Kwame, again, based on the location, the fibroids that are located on the inside, these ones, the submucosal ones, Kwame, imagine they come in right here. And this is the cervix, all right? And this narrow way that we see here is what we call it's a canal, a cervical canal, endocervical canal. But that's where the semen, the sperms rather, found in the semen during sexual intercourse, the man deposits it here in the vagina, and then it will move up through the cervical canal into the womb and goes to the fallopian tube to meet the egg. If you have a fibroid sitting right here at the neck, like that canal under bridge at East Legon, then imagine it's blocked, something is sitting there at the entrance, just as you have a fibroid sitting right there at the entrance, then you are going to have problems with fertility. Because the sperms don't have any way to pass. They're sort of like being blocked. So that is one of the reasons why you may have infertility as a big challenge. The other reason why you may experience infertility because of this is this fibroid hanging right there on the inside. Again, the fibroids on the inside. When the implantation or the fertilization happens in the tubes, this newborn is going to, or the fertilized egg is going to have to implant on the inside. It moves into the chamber and then all it sees is this fibroid hanging. Then it attaches to it. Wrong place. That is not the place where it's supposed to attach. That is a wrong place. It doesn't have the features to support that attachment. And therefore, the woman aborts. So some women who continue to have recurrent abortions in the first trimester, it may be that you have fibroids located on the inside of the womb, and that is why you are experiencing the recurrent abortion. The prayer is too much.
Wow.
You know, so the location of the fibroids is very, very important. And based on the location, we have different presentations all the time, different presentations. So the fibroids located on the outside gives you pressure symptoms. The one located on the inside will cause you infertility. It will cause you heavy menstrual bleeding. The ones located outside as well can be infected. And then Kwame, the ones with the stalk, they can cause you a lot of pain because they can twist. Something we call a torsion. So, if you look at the picture, the one right there on the top where the roof
let me remind folks that this is live on Facebook. So we are live on Facebook. You can go see the picture so that you can appreciate what Doctor is referring to. We are live on our Facebook page.
Right.
Yeah, Doc.
So the ones at the top, the one at the very top, the roof of the fibroid, you realize that it has a small neck, a stalk. Imagine the neck is very, very long, and you've got this weight hanging on it, like somebody with a very narrow neck and a very big head. It's easy and it is possible for the fibroid to twist on its narrow neck, a situation we call a torsion. And then it can cause a lot of pain. It can cause a lot of pain right now. It can cause a lot of pain. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the short neck, the stalk that we talk about, and then the fibroid sits on top of it or is supported by the neck. If the neck is long enough, then it can twist and then it can cause a lot of pain.
Okay.
So pain is one of the features of fibroids.
If you have any questions, you might want to send it to us on WhatsApp 055-111-1997. If you're on our Facebook page as well, you can send in your comments. If you're live on our Facebook feed, you can send in the comments or your questions on there so that the doctor will respond to them.
Right. So when if you have any of these symptoms, and you're a woman in the reproductive age group, anywhere from maybe 18 up to 50 years, and you're having any of these symptoms, it's very important to go to your doctor and make a complaint. What will your doctor do? After taking a very thorough history, your doctor is definitely going to do a physical examination. Very simple. Put you on a couch, expose your abdomen, and examine your abdomen. Palpation. We touch the abdomen most of the time, and you can feel the fibroid. It's a huge mass sometimes, and it's very easy to diagnose. So you get a physical examination. The doctor, however, will want to confirm. Sometimes the mass is not in the abdomen, and therefore not palpable. It's still in the pelvis, or they are small size fibroids. So your doctor, with the suspicion, may decide to do what we call some few investigations. An ultrasound scan is a very common and readily available investigation. The ultrasound scan will show us the fibroid. So it's a visualization of the fibroid. It's a visualization of the fibroid. So a scan will be requested, and these days, at least in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, most corners, you would get an ultrasound done.
Okay.
We'd also take a blood sample because of the bleeding and because of the symptoms that our friend, for example, is experiencing. We want to know what your blood level is. So a very simple blood test called a full blood count can give us the kind of answers that we are looking for your doctor to then firm up the diagnosis of uterine fibroids, know exact location of the fibroids, whether they're on the outside, whether they're in the walls of the womb, or whether they're on the inside of the womb, so as to plan treatment modality appropriately.
Can fibroids be treated?
Yes, Kwame. It is one of those things where we in our part of the world, because there's a certain racial or ethnic tendency to fibroids, we tend to see it more in people of African origin. So it's quite common here. So if you're an obstetrician gynecologist or a gynecologist practicing in our part of the world, it will be one of the most common surgeries performed. So I'll tell you that in Medical's hospital, the commonest surgery we perform in that hospital is fibroid surgeries.
Really?
Yes, fibroid surgeries. So they can be treated.
What are the statistics look like in women?
Well, quite a number of women. I mean, there's this study that was performed in Kolebu, the pathology unit, and we realized that 9 out of 10 women at postmortem had fibroids. So depending on the size, the fibroids are sometimes symptomatic or they are asymptomatic. So most women wouldn't even know that they have fibroids. It will come to attention for the first time when it's grown too big and it's giving you abdominal discomfort, constipation, urinary symptoms, frequency, or you're having heavy menses. If they are not so big, then most women will probably not pay attention to it. So once a diagnosis is made, then depending on the exact complication the individual is having. But I mean, if it is obstructing here, right here, and therefore infertility is a problem, you have a fibroid growing on the inside, and it is obstructing the pathway, or it is preventing proper implantation of the fertilized egg, then your doctor would advise that the fibroids be moved out of the way, so that you can then attain fertility.
Okay, let me activate the phone lines. I'm sure people have lots of questions, and I really doubt we would have enough time for that. But let's see if we can get a few calls through on 0302216541. Millie is already saying that we should extend our time for more education on this topic. It's very necessary, and if we're unable to finish today, we'll have a part 2 next week.
Absolutely.
Emmanuel Opoku is asking, is there a relationship between ectopic pregnancy and development of fibroid, and also early sexual encounter and fibroid?
Right. So the question about the ectopics, again, location. So there's a certain, when we talk about ectopic pregnancy, we're talking about the location when you have the fertilized egg in an unusual location outside of the uterus, then we would call it an ectopic pregnancy. Typically it will occur in the tubes as we see it, fallopian ectopic. But sometimes it occurs right here, where the tube inserts to the body of the uterus. That's where sometimes you get the ectopic location. If you have a fibroid that is growing on the inside, And it is right there at the corner, what we call a corner, where like the horns are located. So we call them a corner location. Then it is likely that you can have an ectopic pregnancy. So again, location, location, location. Very, very important.
Okay.
But there's no connection with early, I heard something about early sexual
encounter.
No.
Okay. Sam Bannerman in the USA says, if a young lady who is not given birth before had a surgery of fibroid, what are her chances of childbearing?
Actually better. So there's a saying that the non-pregnant uterus is always rewarded with a fibroid. So because of the connection with estrogen that we know, when you get pregnant, you don't produce estrogens anymore. You produce a lot more of progesterone during that time. So if a woman has gone from, say, 13 years all the way to 36 years, and you've never been pregnant, it means you always have a lot of estrogen in your system. And we have found out that there's a connection between the estrogen and the muscle cells that lead to the development of fibroids. So if you have fibroids and you get them removed or dealt with, if they were the ones obscuring or causing the infertility, then well, we've paved the way for fertility. Those who have small size fibroids after ultrasound scan, sometimes we will adapt what we call an expectant management approach. Watch and wait. So we'll tell you that, please hurry up and get pregnant so that this fibroid doesn't cause you further problems.
Okay.
Right. So actually,
so that's to say that when you get pregnant, you don't have any chance of getting a fibroid.
Well, no, we can't say that conclusively. We're saying that you reduce your estrogen levels, the hormone that is associated with it, you reduce the estrogen levels. So most women will have a small size fibroids that would actually develop during pregnancy, but after pregnancy, it would actually regress. So if they are there, they may grow, but they may not cause you significant problems.
Is it likely to grow back after it's been surgically taken out?
Well, yes, you can have fibroids after we have removed it for the first time. But Kwame, I wouldn't say it is growing back, because as I use the analogy of the hair strands, the fibroids develop from individual hair strands or individual muscle in the cell, and there are millions of muscle cells in there. So one of them develops into a fibroid, we take it out. The other ones can also develop into fibroids. So we wouldn't say they are growing, it is growing back in that context.
The others are just coming to show shige.
Exactly.
Oh, Charlie.
So they don't grow back. But in my experience and in the experience of a lot of gynecologists who work a lot more on this, and they will tell you the number of people who it comes back. We're planning surgery at Medicas sometime next month for a young lady who's arriving from the UK, and this is going to be her second fibroid surgery.
Wow.
So yes, it does happen. But it is not growing back in the sense that where we removed it from, another one is growing in its place.
Okay. Look, we're out of time now. We would have a part 2 of this conversation. It's very important that we have more education on fibroids. Remember, the video for this conversation we just had is live on our Facebook page. So if you missed out on the conversation, please go and play it back so that you can hear all the good stuff that the doctor shared on our drive time today. But for those who would want to get in touch with you ASAP, what's the number to call?
Right, the number is 0501 477 340. I'll take that again, 0501 477 340.
Thank you so much, Dr. Osafo. We'll see you next week for part 2 of the conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's Dr. Yaw Osafo, CEO of Medicas Hospital, and we'll be